One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. Hi, I'm Matt Roberts, founder of D1 Ticker, and I'm happy to be joined on One Question by Taymar Ventures founder and CEO Mark Dyer on the headlining news already out this week of Mark's co-creation of the new Elevate on-campus unit alongside Elevate Sports Ventures, and Kentucky is on board as Elevate on Campus's first partner. Mark, you of course spent 8 years at IMG College, and part of your oversight included the build of first IMG College Ticket Solutions and later what became the IMG Learfield Ticket Solutions unit. So this space is one you're certainly a subject matter expert, which makes this news even more interesting. For those listening, if you're not familiar with Elevate Sports Ventures, you've certainly heard of many of the brands behind the new entity, which includes the San Francisco 49ers, Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, Oakview Group, Ticketmaster, and Live Nation. Mark, I think probably the first question I would have if I was an AD sitting in Seattle or Miami or any part in between is I'd want some understanding and some education on why this model, Elevate on Sports, with Elevate Sports Ventures is different than maybe some of the offerings that are currently in the marketplace.
Well, it's obviously a great fundamental question, and I'm in a good position to answer since I developed became IMG Learfield Ticket Solutions. We started it as IMG College Ticket Solutions in January of 2011. A guy named Matt DeFebo, who had done great things at Central Florida a few years earlier, was trying to do it on his own and was struggling like a lot of entrepreneurs working off their kitchen table. And I hired Matt, and he had one school, Temple University, and we went from there, and we had about 11 by the end of the first year. And then the following year, we sold half interest to Learfield. So even after we sold to Learfield, we were still the managing partner, and I still oversaw that business on a daily basis. So Elevate on campus, the business model, the relationship we're going to have with the schools, starting with the arrangement that we're having with Kentucky, is really a product of the learnings over those 7 years, my learnings, and then marry that to the world-class capabilities of my partners at Elevate, which, Elevate either owns or touches every major professional sport in America. And, it certainly, it's a different animal when you're talking about college athletic departments that have so many things on their plate to worry about in today's environment. And it's very difficult to operate a real best-in-class ticket sales operation, especially if you're trying to do it on your own. So all those learnings on my side and everything that's been built up on the Elevate side is going to be plugged into what we're going to do with Elevate on campus.
Financial model compared to what most of us are familiar with in this space in terms of third parties moving ticketing inventory. Similar, vastly different? What are the key items that are important for your all's unique value proposition?
Very different from my experience the first time around, and this was a key learning for me, and in developing the vision over the past year of how I wanted to go to market. I wanted much more of a partnership, and I wanted much more alignment with the athletic department on the entire ticket sales picture. Basically, we were focusing on new business the first time around, and we were earning a commission on that business. And so we really, in a lot of cases, didn't really touch renewals. And I think that was a major flaw in the model. And what commission-based deals ends up doing is you start, if you're the vendor, you're focusing on what's going to earn you commission. And if you're the school, you're really keeping score on what the vendor's allowed to sell because you're going to have to pay a commission on it. So while we will have incentive-based compensation for our general manager and our salespeople, and we'll have the ability to earn bonuses based on very specific objectives that are outlined by the athletics department, the rest of that goes away. And I think Jason Schlaffer's really talked about that already at the University of Kentucky. He's really been the architect of this deal on the Kentucky side. And Jason's bringing together all the different elements of marketing and fundraising and ticket operations. I had a day-long meeting with them on Tuesday in Lexington, and the way he's brought those elements together with the sales engine that we're going to build starting September 17, when our GM Joe Rickert, who left the Atlanta Hawks, the way Jason is building this, and Jason got the vision when I first pitched him back in the spring on this new model. He got it right off the bat, and I couldn't think of a better school to launch it with, and we'll go from there.
In terms of product market fit, so much of that construct, I guess, in the business world is about timing. And it strikes me that the timing of your introduction of this framework is optimal given the narrative we hear and read and see at games about the difficulty of moving inventory, certainly B, putting them through the turnstiles as well, and keeping them in the facility engaged in the product on the field and around them as a fan experience. I'm guessing you gave that a ton of thought maybe on when you were introducing that, and maybe if you can for me, give me some context of, I had this idea in mind, I wanted to wait till the right time, or was it about having the right partner in Kentucky first?
The right partner in Kentucky and finding the right partner in Elevate. Those two critical pieces kind of came together roughly the same time. Now, we would love to be starting at Kentucky several months earlier because we would love to have had time to make more of an impact on the 2018 football season. On the macro level, Matt, as you're aware, because you're in the middle of the business and kind of you're the daily record of what goes on in our industry, college football has never been a better, more exciting product than it is. But college football, basketball, other sports are not immune to the same trends are going on in sports fan consumer behavior. And so any typical college football weekend, probably a million plus unsold tickets per weekend. Now, the good news is there's several million that are sold every weekend. Roughly speaking, college football sells about 75-80% of its inventory. And I'm talking let's roll up to 130 schools, some odd of Division I. So there's a big opportunity there. We believe in the college football, college basketball, college sports experience. Taking your friends or your family onto a college campus. It's a unique experience. It's got a real heart and soul feel to it. And our mission is to get more people involved and make the commitment to do that, and to work with ways to get students to participate more in the live event. We're going to have a lot of ground to cover in that. I think that's a great challenge for my partners at Elevate to assist with, because they deal with professional sports every day, with NBA teams, NFL, NHL, and the like. But the great thing is I'm going to be able to bring the technologies that they've developed in their own operations. We're going to bring those to our college clients.
Curious to learn more about Elevate from your perspective. Elevate has a lot of connections throughout the sports industry, as you've noted. But what did you find in that leadership team from the top that you heard when you guys started talking about this idea that clicked? When did the light bulb go off, and why?
Well, it started with Tim Lightwicky at Oakview, and I was introduced to Tim by Dan Schell, who never really worked under me, but was somewhat of a protege of mine at IMG over the last several years. He went over to Oakview to head up their fledgling college division. He introduced me to Tim. We hit it off great. I explained my vision and passion to get back into this space, but to get back into it with a different approach. And he invited me to the Venues Now conference that they put on in LA that was going to be about 4 or 5 weeks later. I did that. Tim and I met again after my panel, and Tim was obviously much more engaged on the idea and said, I love it, I want to do it, but this belongs under Elevate, and which we're a partner. And I said, good. He said, well, you got to get with Al Guido. You got to call him. And I called Al and said, give me your first day you're available. I'm going to fly out from Dallas to meet with you. And I went to San Francisco, to actually Santa Clara, is where they built that beautiful new stadium, and met with Al and his business affairs guy. And, basically at that meeting, we kind of decided to see if we could make this happen. And, subsequent weeks of negotiation, we made it happen. And the other partners, Jared Martin with Ticketmaster, and Scott O'Neill, who I met with at Harris Blitzer on Wednesday, has just been fabulous. I mean, unbelievably inviting and cooperating and adding value already before we're even officially launched and going as far as announcing the formation of our new company. So they're really into it. The neat thing, Matt, is Elevate's a new company too. I mean, it's just been established this year. So there's an energy level to this. There's a commitment level, a freshness to it that the partners have. This is the greatest opportunity of my career. So we're all in a high energy mode right now, and we feed off each other.
That's quite a statement for a guy that's had your career, Mark, that this is the greatest opportunity that's come across your desk. That's pretty interesting. Tell me about maybe staff makeup that you foresee at Kentucky and that property. How many sellers are we talking about? You told us about the GM role and maybe some other key support staffers. What's that team look like?
Yeah, so the Kentucky operation will start out with a GM plus 4 sales reps. We certainly have the flexibility to build it incrementally from there. I'm a big believer that in fewer, more capable people, especially at the start, or if I'm taking an operation over that someone else has managed. I kind of want to boil it down. Certainly not make any kind of unfair decisions about anyone that doesn't need to be there, but usually you have a lot of attrition anyway in those situations. But it's better to start one from scratch, which we're doing. We'll start out with those 4. We'll get our arms around. We know it's a magnificent opportunity. We learned a lot this week, and I'll be back with Joe, my general manager there, the week of the 17th when we officially get underway with him, and we'll build it from there.
Do you have any thoughts on where this goes after Kentucky?
Well, yes, I'm already engaged in conversations with a number of schools. Some are doing in-house operations. Some are under contract with other companies. The interesting thing about this space, Matt, is the majority of schools are doing some level of in-house operation. And our model is going to be adaptable as such that if you want to stay in-house, as far as if you want your manager and sellers to be on your payroll rather than ours, we can accommodate that. But we're going to bring the recruiting, the training, the development, the reporting, the expertise from different technology platforms. We're going to bring all that and make whatever investment a school is making pay off far better, make it a much more productive investment of time and money, and that will result in more people attending events and more revenue from that. As far as an executive team, I've been working on this for a year, and we're not going to start with a bunch of people. because we're starting this from scratch with Kentucky as our first client. But I've got some fabulous people with great experience in this space ready to go. And I think the market is very, very ripe for this fresh approach. Let's face it, it's not getting any easier to sell tickets in the sports world and in the college world. As I said at the beginning of our discussion, the need is there, and we feel like we'll be the best in class at filling the need, and that will certainly result in us having a large portfolio probably over time. But your question is a good one. You can't just go out and sign a bunch of schools just because you can. My mantra that I've tried to practice over a number of years is people, plans, and execution. And I really learned the fine art of execution in the themed restaurant business when I was in that with some partners several years ago, because that kind of operation can get away from you in a day. Mm-hmm. And so I think people that have worked with me know I'm a stickler on accountability and executing and coming to work with a purpose every day and a mission, and taking a lot of pride in being the best. So we'll be growing over the coming months, and we're going to be targeting more than just the Power 5 schools. Although Kentucky is a terrific leading school, Mitch Barnhart has been the picture of stability there at the University of Kentucky as athletics director. He's one of the very best ADs in the country. It's a hard business to stay at an institution as long as he has. Says a lot for him and what he's done with facilities and the success of their sports program. So Kentucky's obviously a great way to start. But, we're designing our services to meet needs at a variety of schools and sizes and budgets.
Your famous tagline on LinkedIn, of course, is "sell" is not a four-letter word, which I find is a fascinating way to frame what you've done and who you are. So, when you get to sit down with Jason Schlaffer the first time, or as you've been going on a campus tour and you sit down with an AD, no matter how well you know him or not, sit down with the first time, what is the 2-minute, here's what we're doing and why we're doing it and why you should be interested?
It starts with a philosophy of, some people don't like the idea of selling, maybe selling, from the movies, maybe the used car lot depictions in movies give selling a bad name. I think selling is fundamental to our economy and what we do in this country to make it such an economic success. I think selling experience is good for any young person, depending on no matter what their ultimate career path is. So, number one, what I say to the athletic department is, the people we bring in here are going to be the best that we can find. They are going to understand it. It's a performance-driven business. We have transparency and accountability on all of us, starting with me, on our performance. And we're our own biggest critics, but we do it in a positive, constructive way. If you have to point out something to me that's wrong or we're deficient, we take that very personally, because we're usually one to tell you, hey, we're not doing what we need to be doing in this particular thing, and we're fixing it. That's another thing I learned in the themed restaurant business with guest relations. You need to see problems before they happen to a customer. We're going to represent the athletics department in the university with a first-class approach, with a sensitivity towards the uniqueness of that institution, that community. We understand it's a vital trust they're placing with us in their relationship with their fans. That's not an easy thing to justify handing over to an outside company. Our manager and our sales representatives will wear your school's jersey, and they'll have our T-shirt on under their shoulder pad, so to speak. But they're part of your athletic program. I'm going to go over 2 minutes here, but you get me fired up when you give me an opportunity to give you my maybe a long elevator speech, maybe a Empire State Building elevator speech. But we're going to represent you first class, and we're going to drive results. And you're going to be very happy that you gave us this opportunity. We're going to be the best. Plain and simple, we're going to challenge ourselves every day to be the best. That means we got to hire the best people. We got to be the best at training and developing. And I'm a big believer that training is something you kind of do up front when they first get started. But the real secret sauce is development. That is working with people on an ongoing basis, sitting down with them on a regular basis, understanding what they're encountering. Everybody has different things going on in their lives. These sales reps are young people, and they put a lot. Their parents put a lot into their educations, and they're all very career oriented. And we try to give them a career path. And one of the great things that we're going to have as far as recruiting is look at my partners. Look at all the professional sports teams that these young people could certainly potentially go into as they progress in their career, and vice versa. I mean, the Harris Blitzer guys are excited about the opportunity for some of their up-and-coming talent to come into our Elevate on Campus system. So that's going to work well both directions.